What is up, guys? This is JD Rich here, coming back at you with another video yet again. Now, I'm just going to get straight into it, guys. Today, we're actually talking about the spoilers for 1157, up and coming and coming out. And let's just get straight into it, man. From what I've learned recently, it appears that in the cover story, we actually get Yamato finally, I guess, being revealed the gravesite of the warrior of Ringo, who she's visiting or whatever. So we learn that the warrior that she's visiting, the gravesite of this great hero in Wano, was not only renowned as a hero, but also it said that he died fighting Kaido. And the thing is, I automatically rushed to the conclusion of thinking that it's Ushimaru Shimotsuki, especially with what we've seen in the flashbacks and in the anime of him and the other three warriors that were chained together in Yamato's captivity when Kaido was trying to teach her a lesson. You remember Ushimaru and the rest of them, they cut the cave and they still went out fighting. So naturally you would think that it was Ushimaru, but what if it wasn't? Because it says that the hero was actually was born in the West Blue, then raised in Ringo, in that part of Wano. So, if you automatically thought it was, excuse me, if you automatically thought it was Ushimaru, because I did too, we could be wrong. We could be wrong, because Ushimaru, bro, he's Zoro's grand uncle, his great uncle. So, technically, you would think that a person like Ushimaru was actually raised in Wano, like full out his whole life. And we can naturally assume that. I mean, there's never been any showing in the flashbacks of Wano so far that Ushimaru ever left the borders. So, with that being said, I personally think that this hero that Yamato is visiting, I'm going out on the limb to guess that this is the grave of Zoro's father. I'm gonna go out and say that this is the grave of Zoro's father. Like, if it's not Ushimaru, I think it would be Ushimaru's nephew, and that would be Zoro's father. So, man, I mean, we're gonna later on get revealed, I guess, when full spoilers come out and when the actual chapter comes out. But other than that, that's just my analysis. I'm gonna guess that the gravesite she's visiting, Yamato, is Zoro's father. Because I would imagine that Zoro's father did have a run-in with Kaido at some point. Like, if not Kaido, maybe Rox himself. Who knows? Because I used to think that Zoro's dad was actually killed by Rox. So, either way. Moving forward, we learned that the Rox pirates were always making attempts to actually sabotage and betray one another. Like we didn't already get that vibe from the essence of the crew itself, right? Like, look at them. Like, you got the most notorious of notorious criminals all banding together, all because the strongest one, Rox, beat them all in daily backfights, and then some of them, they just came to join because they saw this faction as a means to an end for their own personal goals and agendas. Like, yo, I don't like any of y'all, but at the same time, with our combined strength, everybody could potentially get what they want. However, the egos amongst everyone, a part of the crew, it drives to some very outright backstabbing that's just atrocious amongst everyone. And then also, on top of that, man, given that everybody came together like this, even though they don't really like each other, they don't rock, there's no like loyalty shown to one another except for the loyalty for their own agendas. However, they're loyal to the fact that they have an overwhelming amount of strength that can each get them their goals. But they still will turn on each other without hesitation. Now, a crew like that is just solely, it's strictly volatile. And the only thing keeping them together is Rox's leadership. So, we also learn that they have committed various crimes, like each of them, like various crimes. Now, whether they committed those together, we can assume some. But I would assume that they did commit crimes together, but more so apart, separately, because they each have their own agendas. So, I would say that they did commit crimes apart from one another, because like each of them, they seem like, yes, they follow Rox, but they're also following their own set of rules, morals, and principles as well. So it wouldn't be hard to speculate or assume that they were each committing crimes by their own hand and by their own ambition and agenda for whatever they wanted to do. Because, like, you know, we learned that Big Mom has contacts outside of the crew looking for the giant, the shipwrights of Galileo, as well as, what's his name? Captain John, you know? So, like I said, man, like the fact that it laments on them committing various crimes, I'm just gonna go, like, I'm pretty sure not all of the crimes they committed were actually together. It was just single exploits by each member, and given that they were under the same flag at the time, you would think that it was like a crew exploit, like as the papers and the news would depict it, like, oh, this Big Mom did this, Newgate did this, but it was something that they probably did all by themselves, but since they're a part of the same crew at this time, you would think that it was like a crew effort. Or you would think that the crew sent this member out to commit that specific crime. But either way, crimes they probably committed together shortly, but more crimes I would assume they committed on their own, but under the same flag at the time, selling together. And then later on, as the spoilers continue, we learn that Shaki not only set up a bar in Hachinosu after leaving the Kuja Pirates, but she was also considered the treasure of Hachinosu. Shaki. Like, bruh, this is absolutely bonkers, but this is also amazing because when you look at Sabaody and you see Shaki's rip-off bar, it's actually a homage and iteration of the bar that she used to run on Hachinosu. So, with that being said, man, Shaki as the treasure of Hachinosu, it stated that Rox, Whitebeard, as well as other members and heavy hitters of the Rox crew fell in love with Shaki. They were all infatuated with Shaki. I would assume Big Mom as well. Like, not on that, but if it is that, then hey, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? You could have those relationships in one. It's One Piece, you know? But Shaki being the national treasure of Hachinosu, I think this is just perfect. This is so perfect because, one, I think it'll flesh out more of the conflict amongst the Kuja Pirates, especially with her and Gloriosa. Because look, when we first met the Kuja Pirates and we saw that Tritoma, Luffy's mom, possibly Luffy's mom, I believe it's Luffy's mom, handing out the fan mail, we see that Gloriosa was actually jealous that Shaki was getting more fan mail than her. Now, I don't know why Gloriosa originally left the crew to go join Rox, but do you guys think that it may have had something to do with Shaki? Because, like, we see that Gloriosa was slightly jealous of Shaki, but Shaki was the number 2 on the ship, which was much needed by Gloriosa's standards, because you got to have a strong vice captain. Now, what's the deal? What is the deal with Shaki leaving the crew, though? Because the crew was left in Shaki's hands. Why would Shaki go set up a bar on Hachinosu, and then why would Gloriosa go join Rox on Hachinosu? What is it with them? Because I personally believe that maybe Shaki actually set out to get Gloriosa back and ended up staying in Hachinosu due to, like, Rox's persuasion or convincing or charm. But she said that Shaki said that she would never subject herself to the captivity of a man or anybody. So what made Shaki set up this bar on this island amongst these vicious and savages? Like what would make her do such a thing? And how does it connect back to them both leaving the Kuja Pirates? Because Shaki setting up a bar, maybe that was just a dream of hers, which is not a bad dream at all, but what does that have to do with you doing it on Hachinosu? And what interaction did you have with Gloriosa? Because remember, Gloriosa, it's shown that she has a slight jealousy towards Shaki by the collecting of the fan mail that they received on the ship. So maybe that jealousy actually carries over. Because look, Gloriosa being Gloriosa, you'd think that the pirates were all swooning over her, right? Naturally, some of them would. But then Shaki arriving, it takes away some of the attention from Gloriosa. So, what is the internal conflict between Gloriosa and Shaki? Because they were both pirate empresses, you know? So they each have their own reasons for leaving the crew. Gloriosa's could be tied to her having a goal outside of the crew that maybe Rox can help her get to, or she may have fell in love with Rox. And then Shaki herself, maybe this bar was her dream, but standing up at Hachinosu was just by happenstance. And, you know, maybe she wanted to, I guess, maybe she felt protected being there at Hachinosu, setting up that bar. So we still don't know yet. But we got a lot to find out with that. Now, you know, that it says that Rox and Whitebeard were both smitten by Shaki. Who wouldn't be, right? Who wouldn't? But man, Shaki being the grand, like the treasure of Hachinosu, that is just beautiful to me. Because, like, if you're gonna go this route, why wouldn't it be Gloriosa? I mean, they're both pirate empresses, but I guess Shaki just has that sauce. You know, it's not just about her beauty either. Shaki's essence and her personality, her character, that sways. It brings the best of the most savage and ruffian pirates or warriors under her whim. As far as like them, like, oh yeah, Shaki, that's my G, that's my girl right there. That's, you know. So naturally, I guess Shaki would be naturally protected on that island. But we come to later find out that the world government kidnapped Shaki, which set off the events of God Valley in the first place. This is amazing, man. This is amazing. I love Shaki. Like Shaki, I already love Shaki Israeli's wife, but her stock just keeps going up, man, the more we learn about this. So later at the end of the spoilers, we learn that the Gorosei appear. They're actually in the Holy Land, you know what I'm saying, doing Holy Land things, killing maids, killing rabbits, puppies or whatnot, condemning freedom. You know, grumpy old men with hemorrhoids and bald spots, taking orders from evil. We actually see that they're actually sending a message to Harold. They're telling Harold that, yo, you know what? I tell you what, we will allow Elbaf to join our factions as a country and take part, I guess, in the revelries and be affiliated with the world government only on the condition that you kill Rox D. Zebek. Now, this automatically makes my ears perk up, as well as everybody else in the community, because we know that Rox fell at God Valley, and you would think that, yo, given this new spoiler that just got released, you would think that, yo, did Harold actually kill Rox? Did Harold kill Rox? Was Harold the one who gave the final blow to Rox? Now, me personally, I know Oda. It's so easy for Oda to fool us into thinking that Roger and Garp took down Rox, because that's what it said in the story. It was Roger and Garp who actually teamed up to take down Rox. But there was also a traitor mentioned in the Rox Pirates that led to Rox's downfall as well. And I think that was Whitebeard, because Whitebeard probably saw how Rox's dream threatened that of his own. And after all, the Rox crew, they weren't really exactly loyal to each other. But look at this. I've learned, you know, the greatest betrayal isn't from your enemies. It can actually happen to those closest to you, those you consider friends. Now, Harold is considered a friend to Rox. So if Harold actually stabbed Rox in the back or did something to Rox, that would make a lot of sense for Rox to fall at God Valley, not suspecting that his own friend, maybe like, say Zebek would see Harold at God Valley, like thinking, oh, you came to join me, and then Harold just stabs him. Now, we could see that happening. I could see that happening. But at the same time, I can't really see that happening, only because I would think that Harold actually views Rox as a friend or knows that Rox views him as a friend in their own misguided way. So Harold may look at this as a chance to be a part of the world government and make Elbaf a part of, like, the nations that are under the flag of the world government or whatever, and the referee. So this could be an opportunity for Harold. But then again, look at how dirty the world government plays, because it said that Harold was stabbed in his back by his own men. So that might be, you know, in relation to what Harold possibly did to Rox, if Harold went through with this. Because I just don't, I'm on the fence about this. I'm really on the fence about this. I could see Harold doing it out of desperation to protect his country, but also I could see Harold having too much pride as a warrior to be like, no, like, despite what Rox is doing, he views me as a friend. I slightly come to view him as a friend. I'm not going to stab this man in the back, which probably If Harold refused this order, order to stab Rocks in the back, I could see the world government being like, okay, fine, you don't want to play ball, we'll play ball for you. And they somehow persuaded Harold's men to stab Harold in his back in Harold's throne room. Because remember, Harold was stabbed in the back by his own guards. Loki got there and he killed every one of them. Yet Loki was blamed for the death of Harold, and Loki didn't even do it. So, and also, you would think that Loki would hate Harold, right, or wouldn't care. If Harold actually went through with this, why would Loki go out his way to avenge Harold by killing all the guards who stabbed Harold in his back? Because you would think, like, Loki idolized Rocks. So if Loki actually learned that his father killed his idol, I don't think Loki would have probably helped out like that. Or maybe he would have anyway, because that's still his father, but still. You would have further resentment towards your parent for them taking out your idol. So the fact that Loki went all out his way to kill those guards for stabbing Harold in his back in the throne room, it tells me that Rocks possibly did not go through with this order. There's no way. I just don't believe that Rocks. I'm still on the fence because it could be go ways either way. I'm thoroughly impressed with where this story is going, but I don't believe that Harold would stab Rocks in the back like that. Like, I don't believe it, especially with Rocks viewing Harold as a friend. So Harold really would have no reason to stab Rocks in the back, regardless of his country having the possibility of joining the world government. Because after all, the world government has done everything in their power to undermine Harold's efforts in affiliating his country with establishing ties and bridges and good hands with other nations of the world. Remember, every time Harold went out to establish good relations from Elbaf amongst other nations, the government has been trying to sabotage that. So why now, of all times, would you offer me a deal to join you guys on the condition that I kill Rocks? You've been underhanding and undermining everything I've been trying to do for my people. So now we can be accepted by you if we kill Rocks? So that tells us you need me more than I need you. And Harold shouldn't do it. He shouldn't, but we don't know if he did or not. But I just don't believe that Harold would stab Rocks in the back. I don't. Now, what do you guys think about this? Tell me, because that's all we got right now from the brief spoilers, and that's all I can go on with the tangent about. But yeah, man, let me know you guys' thoughts, man. Please tell me everything. Let me know. Because this is, when these full spoilers come out, it's going to get even better. I'm going to be there firsthand when the full spoilers come out. But for now, this is what I brought you for the brief spoilers and whatnot. I hope you all enjoyed this. This is JD Rich signing out. And remember, guys, a piece of life is life in one piece. Peace.